a long, unhappy bus ride home. The empty seat beside her made her feel sad and alone. It had been a very bad day. Her friend Rosalie had said goodbye and moved away. Viola felt better when she got to her stop. To have her mom waiting meant a lot. She ran and gave her mom a hug while her little brother pretended to swallow a bug. Viola told her mother about her day at school. Then she went into the house where it was cool. Viola curled up and fell asleep in her daddy's favorite chair. No one even knew she was there. Viola was awakened by the sound of her dad's voice as he walked in the back door. Well, if there wasn't enough things to worry about, you can add one more. The tractor just quit and it would not restart. Even after a dozen tries, we may not be able to go to see the folks and the fireflies. Depending on the cost of repairs that have to be made, all our summer plans may have to be delayed. For a moment it was quiet, then Viola heard her mother say, "Let's not panic until after you talk to the mechanic. It is a problem with the sales of crops so low. Mr. Budget is already pretty cranky, but maybe we can still get the money to go." It was a conversation that Viola was not meant to hear. When her mom and dad were finished, she wiped away a tear. As Viola walked to the kitchen, she heard her mother say something on which her dad agreed. "No sense in upsetting the children until we are sure we have the need." Then they were surprised to see Viola standing there with a sad look on her face. Not sure of what she had heard, silence filled the space. Her dad did not wait even for a while. He knew he had to make his little girl smile. He took off his big red bandana and wiped away imaginary sweat from his brow as he complained it had never been so hot in Montana as it is now. Then he did what he called his thing. He knelt down in front of Viola and began to sing. "Oh, Viola Lynn, my sweet Viola Lynn, even her name is more lovely than the sound of the finest Stradivarius violin." Her dad began to dance and swing his red bandana around. He looked so funny, Viola forgot to frown. Until she happened to see what her mother was getting ready. Yuck. Oh no, not that. Spaghetti. After dinner, as Viola helped clean up the dishes, as it was her nightly chore, Viola thought about mean old Mr. Budget. She had heard about him many times before, as he was the one that said no when her dad wanted to buy a new saddle, and again when they wanted to go on vacation to Seattle. Her parents were grown-ups, not little kids. They shouldn't have to get permission, but yet they always did. There was something else she did not understand. Why had she never seen this mean old man? She would ask her grandparents when she called tonight. It was Wednesday. She would be allowed to Skype. But they could not make connection. There had been a storm that blew down trees. Her grandparents were without phones and electricity. Viola was very grumpy as she crawled into bed. She didn't even ask to read a book. She just wanted to go to sleep instead. In Montana, when you can't sleep, you count cattle, you don't count sheep. This might sound really absurd, but by morning, Viola had counted an entire herd. Chapter 2. Viola was awakened early the next morning by her big brother telling her goodbye and teasing how much he was going to miss her, but he promised not to cry. Viola's reply made them both laugh as he walked past the door. "You need to get a grip. It's only a 2-day, 6th grade trip, and I wish it was a lot more." But she had to wonder how lonely the bus ride would be without her big brother and her friend Rosalie. During the lonely school ride, Viola was lost in thought. She tried to forget her problems, but she could not. Suddenly she realized the bus was no longer moving, and some kids were making horns on their head and were loudly mooing. She looked out the window and saw quite a scene. A herd of cattle, and some looked very mean. The bigger boys wanted to get out and try and scare them away. But the bus driver, Mr. Jim, said herding cattle could be dangerous. It wasn't child's play. Mr. Jim blew the horn over and over and tried everything he knew. But the herd just looked at him and mooed. He let the bus garage know they would be late. Until the herd moved, they would just have to wait. But he didn't think it would take too long. He already knew where the herd belonged. He reached into his pocket and took out his cell phone. He called the owners, but no one answered. No one was at home. He let the garage know he had not talked to the owners yet, and until they got help, they would just have to sit. Just then, the kids were getting hot and tired of the whole episode. They saw a horse and rider racing down the road. The sound of the horse hoofs going clippity-clop came right up to the side of the bus before they stopped. The rider looked in the window at Viola, gave a wink and a big grin, tipped his hat, and hollered "Giddy up," and was gone again. The rider sat tall in his saddle as he worked to round up all the runaway cattle. It was obvious he knew how it was done. You could tell he was having a lot of fun. He whooped and he hollered and let out a yell as he yanked an angry steer by its tail. The steer started to run and gave a loud moo. Finally, the standoff on Brandywine Lane was through. Mr. Jim said, "We need to tell Mr. Handsome thanks for his help and for putting on quite a show. It's almost as good as the one last year when he won first prize at the rodeo." Viola felt a little guilty that she had been so sad when she was lucky to have him for her dad. Mr. Jim waited for all the dust to die down. Then he started up the bus and headed into town. Chapter 3. The students got off the bus. They knew they were very late. The assembly had already started. The principal had decided not to wait. Viola got into the gym just in time to hear the principal introducing the new classmate. The year is almost over, but the newcomer had decided not to wait. Thinking about starting a new school filled him with dread. He did not want to think about it all summer, so he was starting out instead. From out behind the curtain stepped a tall, skinny, curly red-haired kid wearing funny clothes, a green and yellow polka-dotted shirt, purple plaid pants, and a big red nose. He waited for the laughter to die down, then walked to the edge of the stage and welcomed them to town. "Oops, that was a mistake. I'm as sorry as I can be. I was not supposed to welcome you. You were supposed to welcome me." Laughter filled the gym as all of the students stood up and clapped for him. He could tell he was quite a hit as he continued with his skit. "As you can tell by the outfit and the name my parents picked out for me, I must be the favorite kid in my family. My family calls me Curly, but I don't know why. And I wonder if you might laugh if I tell you my last name is Fry. Because being laughed at is no big deal. Just think about the teasing. If I would get that name, I would get if that name was real. I know being Curly Fry would be tough. I'm grateful I was named for my dad. That's bad enough. I'm Ignatius Curly Farley, and that's no joke. My family doesn't sow oats. We grow wheat and barley." There was just one thing left to say. To have a friend until the end, you start by being a friend today. Whether he was Curly Fry or Ignatius Farley, he may not have a friend when he begun, but now he had Viola, and she was certainly not the only one. As Viola hurried down the hall to her classroom, she couldn't believe how much had happened, and it wasn't even noon. When Viola walked into the classroom, she was surprised to see the new kid standing by the desk, talking to the teacher, Mrs. G. Mrs. G did what she had always done. She introduced the student to an old one. Viola was the old one that Mrs. G selected. It only took a few words, and Ignatius and Viola had connected. They chatted while the other kids moved things out of the way. They were going to paint a banner thanking the non-teaching staff for all the work they did each day. Viola said she was sorry that Curly could not help with the banner. He did not have a paint shirt to protect his clothes. Viola began to laugh as he pulled out his polka-dotted shirt and put on his big red nose.